Welcome back to Duel of the Debates, where we fight and debate and not die. I'm Danny. And Dan is not here because I was expecting him to be, and I'm Dan. But no, he's not here. But we do have a special guest judge today, and you may know him. His name is Cameron.
Hi.
It's Cameron.
Thank you for having me, Danny. Very excited to hear what everyone has to say about these three great movies we have today.
Yes, and so the question. Actually, well, we also have other guests. It's the same guests as the last 2 weeks. We have May, Frey, and Sydney.
Hi, guys.
And so this week, so last time we taped, didn't have enough time. So now we're going to finish off this little batch here, and we're going to do Best Animated Movie of the 2010s. And yeah, so before we get our picks, let's roll the intro. Okay. We're not wearing headphones, so we didn't know what that sounded like. It was really okay. So, my pick for the best animated movie of the 2010s is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Great pick.
My pick was Coco.
You gotta get home before sunrise, or you'll be stuck here forever.
My pick was How to Train Your Dragon.
It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Nice. All good picks, except mine's the best because.
Anyways, let's start off with some opening arguments. I'd love to hear how we start talking. I want to go in chronological order. Sydney, start us off with How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon mirrors real-world issues such as prejudice, fear of the unknown, and the cycle of violence through conflict between Vikings and dragons. The main character, Hiccup, is not a traditional hero by any sense. He grew up in a world where he was essentially worthless. If he couldn't toughen up and kill ruthlessly, he was worthless if he couldn't toughen up and kill ruthlessly. He is physically weaker, unconventional, and relies on his intellect and compassion. His character redefined heroism and resonates with those who feel they don't fit into the typical expectations. Hiccup not only shows his bravery by not killing dragons, but also by risking his life to save their kind from the slavery they've endured for centuries. Not only is the idea of a hero redefined in this movie, but so are the concepts of dragons. For thousands of years, dragons have been portrayed as fearsome beasts. This movie flips the narrative and depicts them as misunderstood rather than fearsome enemies. The movie not only features a revolutionary soundtrack, but also highlights the importance of challenging societal norms, whether it be beast or man.
Thank you, Sydney. I'll just make a note that I will keep an eye on the timer so everyone can focus on their script. It's all good.
Thank
it's all
you
good.
so much.
Next up, we're going to go to Coco from 2017. Mary Frances.
Okay,
What do you have to
yeah.
say?
Okay, guys. So I feel like Coco was the best movie of the 2010s because it's something that resonates with people of all ages. It's just a powerful story about the importance of family. And it's basically about this little kid named Miguel. He loves music, but it's forbidden in his family. And then one night on Dia de los Muertos, he goes out there and he ends up in the land of the dead where he's reunited with some of his relatives who had passed. But there's a whole story that goes on there about him kind of going on this big adventure. It's a coming of age story. It also just has a really good lesson about following your dreams and your passions. And also awesome music, cultural impact, beautifully animated. So it's entertaining. What else could you possibly need? Coco, everybody.
10 more seconds. That's what you could need, Mary Frances. Anything else?
It's just really heartwarming, and it's just a really, really cute story, and I think it's the best ever.
Clang. Very good, Mary Frances. Very good. Thank you. Danny, what do you think about Spider-Verse?
I think Spider-Verse is definitely the best movie of the 2010s, the animated movie of the 2010s. You mentioned redefined heroism. I think this movie has a great message of anyone can wear the mask, which was not really a general concept that people thought earlier because it was just Peter Parker. And not only do they give a good arc for Miles Morales, they are able to give a little bit of an arc for Gwen, have a love interest with that, like a little romance story there, while also telling the story of older Peter Parker. And we also get to see a Spider-Man die, which I thought was very interesting because, even till his last breath, he's still fighting and he's like, you're going to do good, kid. And then, I guess spoilers, but but to see a movie that's so well animated, they invented a new animation style for this movie that wasn't a thing until this movie. And so Sony is known for
Playing. Oh, got to do rebuttals.
bottles.
We'll go same order then. Cindy, start.
All right. While Coco is widely acclaimed for its storytelling, the plot is extremely predictable. The concept of connecting with deceased loved ones or visiting an afterlife is not a new or original concept. The moral of the story is family matters above all else. But this is extremely overused in Pixar and Disney films and has become a bit derivative. As for the Spider-Verse, the multiverse concept, while exciting, might be confusing or too intricate for younger viewers or for those who are unfamiliar with Spider-Man lore. The movie can easily alienate viewers who aren't longtime fans or well-versed in comic book history. There's also a bunch of plot holes, and the animation style, while beautiful, is also too much sometimes. And I can go into more of that later. But overall, I feel like with my movie, it's very even pacing. Both of your movies, the pacing is extremely unreliable. Like, it gets super fast in some parts, and I really hated it.
Playing. Very good, very good. Mary Frances, Coco, rebuttal.
Interesting.
I'm
Okay.
offended.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's very interesting for you to say that you think that Coco's plot is something that we've heard before because the whole point of How to Train Your Dragon is something we've heard before. It's basically a coming of age story where, he's kind of going against what his dad wants, which we've seen that before. And then it's like, oh, there's these dragons that I got to choose to save them and go against my family. There's so many movies that have had that kind of point before. So we've seen that. I also found that it was kind of boring. Like, I even made a note here that within the first 15 minutes, I kind of was like, let's get on with it, So it's a little bit slow. And as far as Into the Spider-Verse goes, I also think that I'm a Marvel fan. I love Spider-Man, but it was confusing. The multiverse, how did we get here? Multiple Spider-Men and women. And it was a little too busy, in my opinion, with all the animation.
Clang. All right. Busy. Let's keep the busy work going with Danny. What are your rebuttals?
Well, I think Coco is busier because it's just so much gold glitter and dark tones and going into the afterlife, and that's busy. You mean animation busy? The animation is busy, or
I just felt like there were some times how they kept doing the popping and the
okay.
It just felt jarring. Whereas I feel like Coco was a little bit of a smoother and richer
Danny,
color.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, no, it invented a whole brand new animation style, and I think it was praised for years that they I forgot what it was. They made it specifically 48 or 12 frames a second or something like that, and they copy pasted and they even chroma aberration from it, like how a comic book works. How to Train Your Dragon is just a boy and his dog. There's really nothing else to it.
All right, very interesting rebuttals there. I want to zero in on Sydney and Mary Frances's talk on each other's stories being repetitive. Can I get an example of where you've seen the How to Train Your Dragon story type before, Mary Frances?
Yeah, just like what Danny just said. It's a boy and his dog.
Right.
We've seen that constantly throughout our childhood. I know it's just kind of the story of, Lassie.
Gotcha.
we know all the examples.
Yeah, the clock's going. There's a free for all section, I think.
Oh, free for all. You're good,
Yeah,
Gavin.
we're
Thank
good.
you, though.
Yeah,
I
but
got really
Gotcha.
stressed.
Okay. So,
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna
I
turn
was
it
like,
We run a tight show here.
yeah, but yeah, we've seen that before.
so you're saying kind of a Lassie kind of deal?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, we like that, right? But
Yeah.
it's not original. That's not an original story idea. Yeah, exactly.
So
We've seen
then, Sydney, what would be your rebuttal to the idea of
well, you can say that it's a boy and his dog, but it's not. It's a boy and a fearsome dragon. This is the most dangerous dragon out there. No one had ever killed one or caught one. He caught one and was about to kill it, but then realized that it was a living thing just like him. It was just as helpless as he was. He saw that dragon and related to it.
There you go.
And then he spent time training it, and you can say that it's like training a dog, but that thing is
had a lot
way
of
bigger
dog
than he is.
How to
characteristics.
train your dragon.
Yeah, it's like how to train
But
your
I'm
dog,
saying
basically.
it does have a lot of dog characteristics, but last I checked, dogs don't breathe fire. Dogs don't have giant like that will rip your head off of your body.
I don't think anyone thinks that a dog and a dragon are the same. But it's the concept
I don't even
is
think
the same.
Gotcha. Okay.
Toothless doesn't even breathe fire, does he? He does.
He
He's just really fast, I thought.
No, he breathes fire.
He's a night
There's
fury.
some kind of
There's during the test flight, which also has one of the best songs from the movie on there, Oscar nominated soundtrack by John Powell.
Oh.
I listened to that song literally in the car. It is so good, and it matches up with the scene perfectly. Right at the end of the scene, the dragon puffs a little fireball into it, and the fireball like comes back at him, and he
it
has like some
singes his
scorch
hair?
marks.
I do want to say, if you're going to talk about music, that's Oscar nominated. Coco had Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, Oscar winner for Best Original Song, and Golden Globe winner for Best Animated Feature.
See, I'd say just Oscars awards are irrelevant because all these movies have been nominated and won awards. And
None of the songs really stuck with me. I was like, oh, I heard this on TikTok, and it was a trend.
So if we're talking about
From
music.
Coco?
Yeah,
Did Sunflower stick with you?
it's
Like, that
oh
was-
my gosh, it's overplayed. I hate that song.
It's good.
I saw Post Malone in concert. I can't stand that song anymore because of how much it was played because of the movie. I was listening to it in the movie, and I was like, oh my god, I can't deal with this.
I'll say this. Truthfully, Sunflower is really catchy.
Right.
But if you're a music lover, I would actually recommend Coco over any of those movies because the whole point of the plot is about music and how music is entertaining. It's heartwarming. It brings people together. And
So that's the point of the plot, but also I didn't really feel like music was that big of a device in it. Yeah, it felt way more like family to me. I mean, he had his guitar with him a couple of times, and the family was super against music, which I honestly found that unrealistic.
Footloose or something.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying how many
Yeah.
times they were like, oh, so the grandma or the great grandma, her afterlife rests on her getting her photo back up on the thing, right? Why would she say that he never has to play music again, knowing that he might not ever agree to that and he just might stay in the afterlife? Like, she's willing to put her soul on that to never have her picture back up
is
there?
already up there.
No, it's not in the movie.
The grant
He has the picture with him in the afterlife. He took it off of the
he has
took it off of the altar thing.
Oh.
And he has it with him, so she can't get back. She can't cross that bridge until he gets it back up.
Yeah, but I think that this just proves my point about the importance of music and how music is the main thread throughout because she's saying that music is so passionate. Like that the issue of music had such an impact on them generationally that she's willing to risk it all to protect her great grandson.
True, but at the same time,
She's that old?
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, Coco is supposed to be his great grandmother. So on the other side, that's his great grandmother. So this just shows like generationally, like the impact that the storyline of music had on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
which again, I couldn't wrap my brain around why she was so passionate. Also, she ends up meeting up with it was implied at the end that she had met up with the great grandpa multiple times in the afterlife as well. And she never once heard him out. You're stuck in there for decades with him. He definitely had multiple times to explain himself, and she never sat down and listened to him.
Yeah, speaking of explaining themselves, let's talk about your movie real quick. Okay. Because there's that dynamic between the dad and the son. There was a lot of tension there where I didn't understand that why there was this cultural need to attack dragons and he could never hear his son out when he kind of explained like, hey, maybe this isn't for me. He had to go out to be with a dangerous dragon in order to kind of prove his point.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I just don't understand that dynamic between the father and the son that didn't make sense to me, that he was willing to stick so much to this thought process that this is what it means to be a Viking, that he couldn't even listen to his son and hear him out. He always said, "Oh, I'm looking at you," but he never really saw him for who he was, and I didn't understand.
Well, the dad didn't
that
want
dynamic.
him to fight dragons at first. Hiccup had to beg his dad to let him into that dragon fighting school thing. And his dad wouldn't let him go until the friend ended up talking him into it. Like, he had to talk the dad into letting Hiccup fight dragons. And the second that Hiccup gets let into that class is when he starts meeting Toothless and then training him and
but
stuff.
wouldn't you say that their relationship was impacted by the fact that his dad never really saw him for who he was?
Oh, I thought you were going to keep going with that.
I'm saying that
Like a soft soul kind of thing, you're saying?
I'm saying that I guess I didn't really understand why his dad was willing to put their relationship on the line, especially throughout the movie, where he was willing to kind of, the Hiccup was willing to kind of put his life on the line just to prove a point to his dad. It wasn't until the end, where Hiccup was almost dead, that then the dad's like, I'm having this like awakening moment where I'm like, oh yeah, you are somebody who has a personality other than
I can't
being
really
a
argue this
Viking.
point because it's not my movie. But
I'm trying to like figure out what. So the reason that the dad will not hear him out and wants to kill dragons is because that's how his wife died in that movie. That's how Hiccup's mom died. And so he doesn't want his son to end up like the mother. And
Right,
that's
which
why
is
it took him so long to even let Hiccup into that class. And when he did, he became so proud of his son for fighting the dragons. And then there wasn't like time to really hear him out because the dad was gone for half of the movie. At that point, he just came back for the cage fight. And when Toothless came in, he saw a dragon trying to attack his son. That's what he saw. He saw his son's life flash before his eyes. And so at that point, there was no hearing him out. He was like, we found the nest. We have to go get them before they kill the rest of us. At that point, it's a fight or flight response.
okay.
the thing is, though, you guys are talking about like familial connections and proving yourself. My movie has both of those in spades, and on top of that, it has a romance. It has a redemption arc for a kind of like, I guess, fallen hero, an apathetic hero. So it does all of that while also introducing characters that we've never seen on screen before, like Spider-Ham and Spider-Man Noir. It's great with comedy. It's really sharp. They even do like the Spider-Man meme bit where like at the end where like they're all pointing at each other.
Why does that
post-credit
make it a
scene.
great movie, Danny?
So
What?
Why does that make it a great movie, introducing people that we haven't seen and whatnot?
Well, because it sows the seeds for what's to come next as well. So now it has a plan to go forward. How to Train Your Dragon, it felt very contained. Coco is its own standalone story. They were trying.
You
they
say
were
that as a
building
negative,
something.
Danny?
What? Yeah. If it's just a single story,
Gotcha.
this one has more stuff to tell, and it'll get there eventually.
Yeah, when is
if
it
the
gonna,
producers get their shit together,
when you say the humor is great, I have to extremely disagree with that. I love jokes in superhero movies, and there are so many like jokes. So the humor in the movie, while entertaining, extremely overdone and draws attention away from the more serious moments of the movie. This movie is a superhero movie, and while funny elements are very common within the genre, there are many moments of trauma and heartbreak that are completely undermined by the humor. A serious moment will start and then something will happen and there's a joke. And
When?
sometimes the jokes, they make sense, I guess, but they're way too much.
what do you mean? I can't think of a single example.
which part?
For Spider-Verse or Coco?
For Spider-Verse.
Okay, so but like when?
So
I actually am honestly curious about.
I'm thinking of all the very like hard hitting emotional moments of like when his dad's talking him through the door. They don't drop it there.
When Aaron
When Aaron dies.
those are the only two moments that I can really think of that didn't.
at the end where he does like they do like the little smirk. He grabs Jake Johnson or Peter B. Parker and he's like oh like catch you later kid and he lets him through the thing. Like that's a good moment. Yeah,
I'm not saying that there aren't good hard hitting moments, but I'm saying that there are a few like I guess big reveals or whatever. Like when the woman Doc Ock, she came out like. That was supposed to be a big hard-hitting moment because you didn't really expect that, or at least I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Are you saying
just a
were you
different
saying
universe.
emotional moments, or are you saying
Yeah, and the emotional moments with Aaron, right? That was the uncle's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his death, Now that was a hard hitting moment that did lack a lot of humor. So that one was hard hitting.
Like,
but
I
I also found it to be extremely problematic.
Yeah,
that
I
entire
don't remember
scene.
any comedy when he was.
well, yeah. Well, an
I'm
example
saying-
of that would be like if like he was dying and he's just like, hey.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Right. I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder.
I'm not arguing that. I'm saying though, like that scene specifically would have hit me way harder if it didn't. It just didn't make any sense.
Him dying?
When he died.
Yeah. Okay.
He
so
got
I
shot.
did. Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. I did research into this villain.
Okay,
So his uncle's
go.
his uncle's villain
we're ready.
is the
Prowler.
Prowler, right? He has no superhuman abilities. So everything he has comes from his suit. It assists him in agility and provides him with powers with his gloves. And it's all, from what I read, designed by him, and he takes everything into consideration.
Well,
It
funded by
helps
the
him.
Kingpin, but yeah.
Yes, but he designs this. And so the suit is obviously masterfully engineered to provide him all of these abilities. Why isn't it bulletproof? From what I could tell, it was a single, simple bullet
Wait,
that
who,
was shot at him.
who shot him again?
Nothing high tech. Kingpin.
So it was when it
Okay,
was. It
well-
was
He was
when
outside with a singular.
Miles was falling,
just pistol.
and then he couldn't let him go because he saw it was Miles, and then he just.
Yeah, and he got shot with a pistol. A single bullet brought down
Well-
this fearsome villain that we've been seeing this whole movie.
We don't-
Nothing.
We don't know how his suit worked. We don't know if it's just Kevlar or if it like had something to do with his helmet because his helmet was off.
would think that
we don't know.
once-
Kingpin had the special gun since he designed the suit and he funded it. Like he knows how the suit operates, so he's
Yeah,
gonna
we
shoot
don't know
it.
any of this.
Maybe he has adamantium bullets. We don't know this.
We don't know this exactly.
We know that if someone gets shot, they can most likely die though.
Yeah. Well,
I
no.
think for an animated movie, though, I don't think anyone's looking into the
yes,
background.
The physics of bullets is very fascinating to me. I would love to hear, since we're talking about antagonists and whatnot and people that are working against our heroes, Danny, do you have any thoughts on the kind of, I don't know how to say it, but the forces against Hiccup and How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah, I don't remember. Is it just a dragon? Is a whole nest of dragons or something? Lame. Seen that before.
It's a good debate there, Danny. Mary Frances, any thoughts on?
But
Yeah,
it seems like. Sorry, I didn't.
no, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say
After
that
you.
yes, it's a big nest of dragons, and there's the big villain is this giant dragon that's been there for however many years, and we find out that all of the little dragons are going to feed the big dragon, and that's the big villain that they have to kind of go after in the end.
Any thoughts on that as a quality?
I don't
movie?
think that was a quality villain in the end. I mean,
Okay.
it just kind of plays in. There's no twist. I feel like the movie from beginning to end was very typical and predictable, right? It starts off, boy and his dog. Okay, he's going to end up, I don't know where that accent came
not
from.
a dog.
Boy and his dog. And in the end, you know, the Vikings are going to all realize, hey, dragons aren't that bad. The end.
Yeah.
Coco was full of so
Coexistence.
many twists and turns.
It definitely was full of twists.
That I
was
saw
so
coming so
predictable.
long ago.
I
No,
know.
let me-
I knew
let me just
all
say-
I saw
of
the
them.
trailer. I'm like,
Let me
yo.
just say-
Hold up. Mary Frances, continue.
Thank you. My thought that I was going to say is there were no twists and turns in How to Train Your Dragon whatsoever, but that's what made Coco such a good movie is because there were some things that actually surprised me, shocked me. I think there were some really good twists
Like?
and well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler
the
alert.
fact that Ernesto de la Cruz, who we thought the whole time, it leads us throughout the whole movie to think that that is somebody who's related to him. And in the end, we find out he's the villain in a big murder twist, which... When's the last time you see something like that in an animated movie?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though. Like the murder twist, it was so good how they executed that with the exact scene from the movie playing at the exact moment that they're hanging out with this guy, right as the uncle's about to, or not the uncle, the Hector's about to get dragged out. Wow, that was really, really,
Didn't see that
really
coming.
fortunate that they were there for that exact moment.
It is
and that they
fortunate.
both found out immediately that he was
It is fortunate.
Played it
poisoned.
completely straight. Just like
It is fortunate. I think that's good writing, if you ask me.
I find it lazy, predictable, and Like I called it from a mile away. The second that this random guy who somehow knew De La Cruz was in there, I was like,
Hector?
oh, that's the great great grandpa. There's no way he's not. That makes no sense for him not to be.
Disney was doing this thing of, especially around this era, where they were just doing all these twist villains. It actually became like a thing online. It was like, stop giving us twist villains because we know it's gonna be this guy or whoever the character that the main character looks up to or something, and there's like a role model, and then they're gonna betray them, and then they're gonna have to learn.
There was another twist in there too. Did you
was a
guys
whole
catch
thing.
the second twist?
I actually haven't seen the
What is the second
movie in
twist,
forever.
for instance?
The second twist is the fact that the first twist was, okay, we thought De La Cruz was related to him. The second twist was that
Skeleton Guy's his uncle or something.
Hector is actually his great grandfather.
And
that
the guy who killed the guy.
Yeah, and that he was actually the musician. He's the one who wrote all of the music, and that was a perfect bow to put on the end of the movie because it just packaged in the importance of family, tradition, music, and your heritage.
Yeah, I called all of that. I wrote it all down as I was watching the movie. I kept putting question marks next to my notes. I was like, this is it. This is it.
Okay.
You guys gonna say all this?
I called both of those twists.
Neither of
And
your movies.
they were super rushed. The movie felt very nicely paced throughout the whole thing. And then all of a sudden at the end, it was like the last 40 minutes hit. These two plot twists hit, and then the forgiveness, it all felt like they were trying to do too much in no time.
I will say this, if we're going to compare character development, plot, and predictability, there's no comparison between Coco and How to Train Your Dragon. We know how from the time I hear the title How to Train Your Dragon, I know what it's about. When you hear the name Coco, you have no idea that Coco is going to be his daughter, the importance that she's going to have, and the fact that she's the connection throughout the whole movie.
You're telling me you guys would rather watch those movies than a Spider-Man movie with like
Yes.
8 Spider-Men in it? Also with a good twist that nobody's mentioned that was bad. I think it was a really good twist with Aaron
Not
being the
enough
Prowler.
character development, though.
No, I called that one too. The uncle was mysteriously gone for some trip, and all of a sudden this villain's... No, it was easily called. But I would also like to say what I was going to say earlier with Aaron's death. So this might have been something that I missed in the movie, and please correct me if it is something I missed, because this made my brain hurt. The father is an experienced police officer. When he walked into the alleyway and saw his dead brother and Spider-Man, his first thought was, Spider-Man killed my brother, which makes sense. Other people might come to that conclusion if they dislike Spider-Man as much as the dad did. Why wasn't his second thought, why is my brother wearing a strange suit and what's this weird claw glove next to him? Because there was no explanation that I heard in the movie. Claw glove. Like,
the claw.
Spider-Man took it off and held his hand and then left all of that in the alley. Why is there no questioning as to what?
Well, I think he did know. He did know that he was the Prowler because he's like, stay away from Aaron.
Remember you said he was a bad guy.
He's a
made some
bad guy.
Decisions.
Okay, then why?
I don't think maybe he might not have known the extent to how bad he was, but he knew he was.
He knew he was a bad guy, and they kind of laid that out in the beginning of the movie when he was taking him to school and kind of saying like, "I want you to go to a good school because look at what happened to your Uncle Aaron."
Yeah, I get that.
Does graffiti now, in
But
the
also,
sewers.
it just
Not good.
Well, very interesting.
it hurt my
No
brain. I didn't like
expectations.
that.
But okay, but that's the whole thing. The whole movie's like there's no expectations of this character. He's rising above to become his own thing. He's not just gonna be the cookie cutter Spider-Man that everybody knows. He doesn't have to be. Stan Lee in one of his last cameos said the suit fits eventually.
That I did like that.
Right? It's
Yeah,
so
that was
good.
cool.
Like, and it packs so much heart and comedy and different things into it.
All right. Different things.
Different things, man.
Very
Yeah.
interesting, Danny.
It's so good. It's so good. It's got Spider-Man going flip, flip, and like, yeah.
What's he doing?
He goes flip, flip, flip.
The animation style was also super intense. The design is nice, but it was too experimental, like, for me. This drew away from the storyline. It made it more difficult for me to focus on the narrative. There were multiple times where I had to like rewind, and I don't necessarily want to have to do that with a movie.
Sounds like you
Also,
really
Miles's
safe movies.
animation is way more choppy than a lot of the other characters. He was animated at a different frame rate, at least mostly in the beginning, I believe. to reflect his inexperience. But while this is like a smart stylistic choice, it was so distracting. I hated watching it. My brain just couldn't process it. It felt so choppy.
I will agree with that.
I love it was
all a little distracting, but
Danny, do you have anything else to add other than you liked the animation?
Well, I just think there's not many things to say about your guys' movies when it comes to animation. This movie invented a new style. Your movie's really like you don't like being distracted, and like it sounds like your movie's really safe. It went by the book. The reason that going back to the villain part, the reason that like Stranger Things season 4 is considered to be like the best season is because now we have an actual villain that we can relate to and understand, instead of just a faceless monster that can't talk and doesn't have any personality. Now you have a whole swarm of dragons that are just like, and then the one big bad dragon. Okay, and like he's just but the thing with Kingpin in this movie, in Spider-Verse, you understand a little bit of his like he's trying to do this for his wife to get her and his son back because they both died, and it's like they don't need to do that. They could just be I'm evil Kingpin, I'm rich, I want to go invest in a different universe now or something like that. They could do something stupid like that, but they made it a personal, heartbreaking reason for him to do that. And
he was also warned multiple times by many scientists what would happen if he used that machine. And he just said...
Well, typical villain.
Well, that's why he's the villain.
That's why he's bad.
Very interesting. Very interesting, guys.
Wait, I just have one small thing to say because you said the animation. It's really quick. My movie, though, it was made 7 or 8 years before your movies were. The movie did introduce, for the time, because it was made in 2010, groundbreaking animation techniques, especially in the flight sequences that hadn't been seen prior to this movie in the animated Pixar films.
Very interesting.
Or DreamWorks films.
We're going to move on to closing arguments now. I appreciate everyone's very thoughtful debate this round. This has been very insightful. I've been very much enjoying hearing this conversation. We're going to go in reverse chronological now. Danny, what are your closing arguments on Spider-Verse?
All right. Well, the closing arguments are just pretty much everything I said. It's the best animated movie of the 2010s. It's universally beloved. It packs so much into the character arcs and story. It redefines what Spider-Man can be. It opens up the floodgates for a multiverse, which they truly capitalized on with Across the Spider-Verse. We're still waiting on the third one. It's the only thing that Sony has going for it, because for some reason they can't get their shit together in every other department. Lord and Miller were fired from Solo and came back and did a giant fuck you to Kathleen Kennedy with this movie, and said, we don't need your Star Wars money. And, these guys are just talented. They know what they're doing behind the camera. They know how to, like, they made a Lego movie entertaining and really good. There's like magic in there, and
There's
magic in the air.
Magic in the air. How magical. Mary Frances, what are your last thoughts on Coco?
Speaking of magic, nothing is more magical than Coco. Okay? While we can agree that Into the Spider-Verse and How to Train Your Dragon are fun and entertaining, they don't have the depth and the inspiring message that Coco has, in my opinion. I think that the message is timeless. I can see all ages being able to watch and appreciate the message that Coco has, the importance of family traditions, going after your dreams, which Miguel does. I think none of us can say that we've ever seen a movie like Coco. I haven't, with the Mexican culture, Dia de los Muertos being included in that. Just the cultural impact, I think, gives it a step up from others. And in addition to that, I personally like a unique storyline. I thought it was super unique, creative, fun, coming of age, and I'm a music lover, so I loved the music as well.
Very good. Playing. Sydney, I'll let the clock kind of reset here. Sydney, your closing thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon stands out as a superior film because of its rich, multi-layered storytelling and profound messages. It addresses universal themes like prejudice, fear, and breaking the cycle of violence, making it deeply relevant and impactful. Hiccup's journey as an unconventional hero redefines what it means to be strong and brave, resonating with audiences who see value in intellect and compassion over brute force. The reimagining of dragons as misunderstood creatures further challenges age-old narratives that have been used for thousands of years. In contrast, while Coco is celebrated for its vibrant visuals and cultural representation, its plot lacks originality, leaning on predictable storytelling tropes. Similarly, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, though visually stunning, can be overly intricate for some audiences with its reliance on multiverse lore and well-worn narrative arcs. Ultimately, How to Train Your Dragon not only entertains but also inspires, making it a film that transcends its genre and leaves a lasting impression.
I don't know.
Clang.
I don't know about that.
I also don't know.
Very interesting arguments, guys. Thank you very much. I gotta say, I loved the variety that we had today. You know, everyone kind of thinks that Disney's kind of the monopolizer of animation, but it was nice to see some DreamWorks, nice to see some Sony. So, going purely off of the debates, that's something that I'm going to try to honor today. Going
We
off
love
of
that,
the
yeah.
debates. I appreciated the arguments against Spider-Verse's idea of it's just a piece in the puzzle. There was an emphasis on, well, when are we going to get there? That kind of stuff. While Danny did very well defend the complexity of the relationships and the characters and the innovation in the animation, Danny, I love you, but I was looking for a little bit more specifics rather than I liked seeing the references. So Danny, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to strike you from that.
It's okay.
When it comes to How to Train Your Dragon, I love the discussion of the underdog narrative. I appreciate that you had specific details about the plot, specific details about the Oscar nominations. Thank you for mentioning the score. However, people saying that it is kind of a predictable kind of, human pet-like relationship and that kind of predictable father-son dynamic, that I'm going to have to knock you for that. And when it comes to Coco, I think Sydney did a very good job arguing against kind of the logic that happens there between the grandmother and whatnot, the predictability of Hector. However, I think Mary Frances made a very good point about the winning of the Oscar scores. That was something I took note of. And the cultural impact, I think, is also very important. Right now, it's a coin toss, quite honestly, but I'm going to go with Coco. I think that was the winner of the duel of the debates this round.
Go, Mary Frances.
Yeah.
You broke the chair curse.
You broke the chair curse. There you go.
Chair curse.
Chair curse is
Thank
broken.
you, guys.
Yeah. Very good work, everyone. Danny, you want to take us out?
Sure. We are Duel of the Debates. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. Nope, Instagram and TikTok. No longer TikTok. Oh, no.
R.I.P.
Dang. Okay, so it's Instagram. The Duel of the Debates. I'm Danny. You can find me at Danny_Was on my Instagram. My letterbox is serialized at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. You guys like to say anything?
If you want to check me out, I'm on Mayfrey16 on Instagram.
You still don't want to find me on social media.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Cam Kircher, where I will be mourning the loss of David Lynch. God bless David Lynch. Danny.
Thanks for watching. We will see you guys next time.